Shavua Tov. Welcome everybody. We're on Daf Mem Hey Aleph. A couple lines from the bottom, and I just highlighted a little bit before just to recap what we're talking about. The subject is about this end of the Bryce here that it said that the halach is that an amurasa that was mazana, so the punishment is skila, but only if she's a nara. But if she's a bagra, if she was a bulgaris, when it happens, and then it's regular chenek. But here the case is that when she was nenas, when she was mazana, she was still a nara, but by the time it came to kill her, she was already a bulgaris. So the Brisa says, the Brisa seems to say that even though at the time of the she was a nara, and the punishment should have been skila, but since at the time of the punishment she's already a bulgaris, so we judge her as if she would have done with the punishment that would have coming to her, she would have done it now. And that's the Gemara's quotation that's called Ishtani Gufa, Ishtani Ketala, that you say that since her body changed, so also the Chiv Misa changes, it changes to the Chiv Misa she'd have if she would have done it now. And the more the kasha on that from a Bryce that it says the opposite. It says that Motzi Shemra, that Misha Bagra, Hotzila Shemra, in a loka. He has talked about a case where he was a liar. But the case is either if he said the truth, she's chayiv skila. If it's a lie, so then he's punished that he gets malchus and that he has to pay hundreds of kesef. But here it says mishabag. Well, also Allah over there is also only when she's a nara. And here it says that if he was motzi shemra when she was already a bulgaris, so you don't say that since at the time that he was boel, she was a nara. So he still has dinner for Motzi Shemra, since right now she's a Bulgaris. There's no dinner for Motzi Shemra. That was the Gemara's contradiction between the Brisa of Shila, Tani de Shila, and this Brisa. Rabbi answered, Shani Motzi Shemra, the Chidushu. This is chazing of what we did last time, that a Motzi Shemra is a Chidush because it's only by an Arusa, not in the Sua, and every time that the husband marries her, she becomes in the Sua automatically. And still you don't say that according to the status that she's now, there's no dinner of a Motzi Shemra. You go according to when it happened. So too, a Motzi Shemra is different. Over there, other halachas, in this case, the Motzi means that the Brisa said two cases. If she was an Amarasa, and as a case of Motzi Shemra, that the husband is the one who wasn't verified. We didn't find out about the left that she got married, and then the husband said that I found she's not a Basula, and then the Adam came. But if it would have been, like the Brisa says, that that the whole thing happened before she was in the Sua, so that the Brisa says that if she was Bagwa, then she changes the status to become Chenek. But Motzi Shemra is a Chiddush that it stays as would have been when it happened, even though now our body changed. That's as far as we got last time, and now we're ready to go further. But Funda Radio Bishua has a kasha on this. Rabbi wanted to prove from the fact that every Motzi Shemra, when she gets married, she shouldn't be a Motzi Shemra anymore because her status changed. She became in the Sua. Since you see that her status doesn't change, so too, if she became a Bulgaris, also her status doesn't change. But Funda Radio Bishua attacks that logic. This chiddush, the word chadis is like chiddush. This chiddush you see is only taka the way you said it, that she changed from a status of an arusa to an asua. That you see that you don't say, oh, now she's in the asua, so there's no that was shemra. That you're right. That the Torah says that you go according to what she was. But that is not the same as changing ishtani gufa. Ishtani gufa means that she changed her physical status changed. Before she was a now, and now she's a bulgaris. You don't see that the Torah goes so far to say that it also doesn't change by Motzi Shemra. So therefore, Rafuna Ben Yeshua rejects Rabba's Teres, and we're back to the Kasha again. We had a contradiction. What happens if the girl became a Bulgaris before the punishment? Does halacha change from skila to chenek or not? And the Teres about the difference between Motzi Shemra is now rejected. Elam Rav Nachman Yitzchak, Ishtani v'lo Ishtani Tanohi. The taka is a machlokis, that this issue about Ishtani, we don't have a way how to reconcile the contradiction, but he says, I'll find you a machlokis. There is a machlokis about it. There's a machlokis about this point about Ishtani Gufa. Do you say that if she changed because she became a Bulgaris, do you say that status changed and you punish her the way she would have been punished if it would have happened now or not? So we had a contradiction. Now we're saying the contradiction is taka machlokis, and he brings a different case, mamash left field. He brings a halacha that's not relevant to us at all, but the Gemara just trying to extract this point. If there was a punishment that changes according to the status and the status changed, do you say that you judge according to the status now, even though when that ever happened, there was a different status? So he found the machlokes tanon with a different mamash left field. The tanan chatu ashlo nismanu v'nismanu. Here's talking about a carbon chatas in Pashas By Yikra, over there it says the halacha of a korban chatas, and it says there are different kinds of korban chatas. There's a regular hediot, a regular commoner that doesn't have era, that would have been chayiv kores, be'mezid, so b'shogig is chayiv chatas. And over there it says what kind of korban, kizbo, sira, you have a choice of a female sheep or a female goat. But if somebody has a certain status, so then there's a different kind of a korban, parkoin Mashiach. And what else is there about a nasi, asher nasi yachata? There's different people, different status. They have a certain position. So then their korban chatas for that same avera changes. They did someone's machal Shabbos. So if he's a regular person, he brings a chatas yachid. If he's a nasi, he's a king that did the same avera of chil Shabbos, so he has different than a soya, a different kind of a korban. And if he's a kohen gadol, it's parkon Mashiach, it means a different avera, a different korban chatas. Here's the case that the person he did avera, let's say chil Shabbos, he by mistake he was machal Shabbos, and he was a commoner. Somebody sinned before he was appointed to a certain position, and his korban would have been then. If he would have brought the korban, he would have brought a kizbo, a sira, a female goat or sheep. But then then he became a position of a king or a kohen gadol, and he still didn't yet bring the korban. Which korban does he bring? Does he bring the korban of a commoner as the time that he did it, or does he bring the korban that now he is? If he would have done the avera now, but he didn't do the avera now. He did the avera before. Similar to our case. Harein kedyotos. Tanakama says that it goes according to what they were when they did the avera. You don't say that it was nishtana, like the Gemara is taking the side. You don't say ishtani gufa, ishtani whatever, ishtani ketala. You don't say ishtani the punishment. So therefore, it goes according to the time that they did it. And here also, if she was a nara, she became a bulgaris, she still will give her the punishment of skila the way she was before she changed status. But the Shimon Omer, no, they'll have mashalon ismanu chayavim, but mishen ismanu pturim. He says there's a difference. That when they found out about it, means they did the avera, but then also there's a fact that when did they find out that they did the avera? They machal Shabbos, and then they didn't realize it until when. So it depends. If they found out about it before they were appointed, so both the avera and also the information came in before they were appointed to this new position. So then the chayiv like a regular hediot, like a regular korban. But if they didn't find out until they became appointed, so then they don't bring a korban at all. They don't bring either kind of a korban. So the more things that you see in Abshimon that you do say ishtani gufa, the fact that you say that the position changed, that now that he became a king or became a kohen gadol, he can't bring the korban of the commoner. So you see that you do say that the status changed, and so too by the nara became a bulgaris before we killed her. So then you're gonna kill her with chenek because you say that the status changed. So also now the punishment changes if she would have done the avera now. But the Gemara has a kasha on that. Amud Beis, the Gemara rejects that. Aim with the Shamir later Rab Shimon does af basa yediyah. Does lebasa yediyah below as lebasa chata mi shamatlei. Rab Shimon says he doesn't say that they bring a korban of a nasi or a king. They bring it says peturim. They can't bring a korban either way because they have both factors that he did the avera when he was a commoner, and now it's not a commoner anymore. So you can't bring either kind of a korban. But you don't. That means it does af basa yediyah. You go with both the time of the chait and the time of the information. But do you see anybody that he holds that you only go basar yediyah below asal basar chata mishamatay? He doesn't. In kain la'aseh korban kidahashta mashuach par the nasi saw. Then he should have said that they bring a korban according to the status now, and you don't see that he says that. So we're back to the kasha again. That this girl who was a nara when she did the avera, then nara rasa, and then she became a bulgaris. Before we killed her, do we kill her the way we would have when she was a nara, or do you kill her because she was a nara at the time, or do you say she's now a bulgaris? If she would have done the avera now, she would have been chenek. Do we do chenek? So back to the same kasha again, still a contradiction. We tried two terusim, it's still both of them didn't work. The Gemara says in the fourth line, that it's a mistake in the brisa. Go back to the first brisa, Tani Shila. Over there we said in the yellow over here, so I erase that word. It shouldn't say chenek, it should say skila. And there's no contradiction that everybody holds that you don't say shtani gufa, shtani din ketala, that since at the time of the avera she was a nara, even though she became now a bulgaris, she still punish her, you kill her skila, even though now she's a bulgaris already. And there's no contradiction, both brises say the same thing. But the Gemara wants to know now, it more like changes the table, changes tunes, and says, Vamai, Nara Ras Rahman. The Pasuk says Nara, and it seems to say that she has to, you kill her as a Nara Rasa also. Nara, it says it again, but it says Sus, and Nara, I think it says even by the killing also, it sounds like she's still a Nara, but you're saying that even if she's a bulgaris, also you kill her with skila. The bulgarisi. She's not a nara anymore. Like the more is taking the opposite side. The nara means the one that was. That even though now she's not a nara, since she once was a nara, we're referring to the old nara, the one who was a nara. And we don't care the fact that she changed status because she became a bulgaris now. You still go with the old punishment and he gives skila. The more is the question. by the case of if he was Motzi Shemra, now she became a Bulgaris, and now he's Motzi Shemra. So he should be Chayiv Malchus, even though she's a Bulgaris already, and he should have to pay the seller like a regular Motzi Shemra. If you say that it goes according to what she was at the time of the Avera, so even if the Baal was Motzi Shemra after she's a Bulgaris, also it should be punishable as if when the Avera was. How come we looking by the husband, we look at what is now, and by the girl, we look at what was at the time of the Avera. This is how we say Rahman al-Islam. The Hashem should save us. Means when someone says something bad, so you say Rahman al-Islam means Harachman Yatzilenu. So here it says Rahman al-Islam. This is we say Litzlan. Here it says Litzlan means he said like the kasha doesn't make any sense. Like Rahman al-Islam, Hashem should save us from such an opinion of your kasha. Adra Rahman al-Islam didach. He said back to him that Rahman al-Islam from your opinion. So they have very extreme opinions over here. Like one says in each one other Rahman al-Islam, but the Gemara is going to take the side of the one that says that it's not a kasha. Rabbi Hanania said to Rabbi Ila that it should be Chayiv Malchus also, and even though she's a Bulgaris already, and Rabbi Ila said back to him Rahman al-Islam, and the Gemara is going to explain why he said that. Time of my, why is it such a big difference? On Rabbi Yitzchak bar Ravin, the Rabbi Yitzchak bar Abba, Zu Maser Gamula, V'zeh Akimas Fasav Gamula. What is the punishment for? By the girl, the punishment is for her act of znus, and by the husband, the punishment is because he said a lie. He was the Akimas Fasav means that movement of his lips, that he said that and he went to get Edim that were false Edim to say that she was Mizana when she was in Arusa. So you look at the time of the Avera. Zuma said Gamula, she's Anoi Nara, Nara's Anoi. When was she Mizana? At the time when she was a Nara, even though now she's a Bulgaris, but at the time of the Avera, she was a Nara. So that's why you go according to that time. And she's a Nara, and she was Mizana and Amara. So she's Chayiv Skila, even though now she's already a Bulgaris at the time that you're killing her. But this man, what is his Avera? There was no, the girl never did anything. He's the liar. He's the one who's lying. And he's saying that she was Mizana. And he's saying that when she's a Bulgaris, when is he chayiv for the time that he's talking? When he said that she's a Bulgaris, that she's a Mizana, that she's not a Basula, she was already a Bulgaris. So you look at the time of the Avera. There was no time that the girl was a Nara, that she didn't do anything. She was really innocent. And he's saying that she was Mizana when she was a Nara, but he's talking now. She's already a Bulgaris. That's why the punishment for him is according to what is now, because that's the time of his Avera. And the punishment for her, if it's Mizbara, she was Mizana and she was a Nara at the time of Skill, even though she became a Bulgaris. And that sugya, just to sum it up, that the woman, the girl who was a Nara Murasa, she was Mizana, even though by the time it comes already that it's found out that she was Mizana, she's already a Bulgaris, and the halacha, if she would have been a Bulgaris at the time of his nus, would be chenek. But since at the time of Avera she was a Nara, the punishment is skila, even though now she's a Bulgaris. New sugya. Mamish new sugya. If everything starts again. Tan Rabbanan. Nam Rasha says in Sokol and Osla Pesach Pesach here. That's the pasuk says that Nam Rasha means in the case where she was not found out until she got married. Then the husband says she had married. I mean to say the consummation of the marriage, that there was the Nesuin, and then the husband says the Masi Bit Chapsulim, and they find out that he's right, and she was Mizana as an Arusa. So it says that they should stone her by her father's house. He's same as the Mishnah says that if she has no father's house, either because the father has no house or because she has no father, so then they give her skila at the gate of the city, which also the pasuk says over there also. Over here, Sheruba Goyim, and the din of Pesach Shara is only when it's mostly a Jewish city. But if it's a city which is mostly Goyim, so then you don't stone her by the entrance of the city, which is a Goyish city. Then Pesach Bezdin, which means the place where Bezdin usually would kill. To have a base of skila doesn't mean mamash by Bezdin. If it means they had a place where they would kill, it means that usually by any kind of chayve misa, so Bezdin had a place where they would kill. But there's a special halach over here by the Namarasa that they do it lachatchila Pesach over the if she was already married to the husband, by father's home, and if it's possible because of Beis Ha'av, so then they do it by the city, by the shower here. But then the shower here is only when it's a Jewish city. If it's mostly a Goyish city, so then it goes with the regular halacha that by the Pesach Bezdin. And the Gemara brings another case which is similar, that there's an exception to the rule that you don't kill them by a special Bezdin's place of killing. You also by Avodah Zarah, Avodah Zarah. So also al Shav She'avad Bo. The city where he did Avodah Zarah, not the city, like the Gemara is going to say soon, not the city where they judged him, but the city where he did avodah zarah. That's the city that they kill him. But the V'yeshavu Goyim, so al Pesach Bez. And once again, if the city is a Goyish city, the place where he did avodah zarah, then you don't stone him in that city. Then you stone him in the place where Bezdin kills regularly, the regular place for Bezdin to kill. How do you know this? Where's the source that this halacha? First of all, that this is a special place to kill the avodah zarah, and the pasuk says it by the Namarasa. There's more being a drasha also by the avodah zarah, the special halacha, and also if it's a Goyish city, so then it doesn't apply. You don't kill him by the Pesach Shar Ha'ir if it's a Goyish city. The Tana Rabbanan Sharecha says Shar Sha'avad Bo. It says you should kill the person who did avodah zarah, the place where he did avodah zarah. Atom Shar Sha'avad Bo Eno Ela Shar Nidin Bo. Is it the city where he did avodah zarah, or is it the city where he was judged? So Mar says Gzeir Shava. Nema Sharecha Lamata, but Nema Sharecha Lamala. It says two times the word Sharecha. One is in the story when it says that you see that he did avodah zarah. It says if you check and he did avodah zarah. Masha, this speaks Pasha. Masha Recha Amul Amala Shah Shabbat Bo, Sharecha Amul Amata Shah Shabbat Bo, Gzer Shava, that the place where he did avodah zarah, that's the place where he killed him. Davar Acher, another drash to say from the word Sharecha, Sharecha below Shawi Goyim. Your city, a Jewish city, but not a city of Goyim. That's where you had this drash, that if it's a city of Goyim, then you don't kill him over there. The Gemara says, you just said a second ago that Sharecha was first Gzer Shava. I Sharecha, I think that you already used it. Used up the pasuk to tell you Gzer Shava, that it means the place where he did avodah zarah, not the place where he was judged. Now he's saying another drasha that only if it's a Jewish city, not a Goyish city. How could you dash in two things from the same pasuk? The Gemara says no. There's room for two drashas. In kain leim across shar, masha recha, shamina tati. For the Gzer Shava would have been enough to say the word shar, by both places. The place where he did avodah zarah, the place where he's killed. But the fact that it says shar recha means your city means not a Jewish city. But if it's a Goyish city, so then there's no din to kill him over there. Then you kill him out of Pesach of Bezdin. The Gemara says in all this. Ashkelon avodah zarah. Nam Rasamat Nalan. This was about only the case of avodah zarah. But you have a drasha to say that you kill him by the city, and only if it's a Jewish city, not if it's a Goyish city. But how do you know all this by Nam Rasa? Am Rabbo Gama Pesach mi Pesach or Pesach mi Shar v'Sham v'Sharecha. A fancy dominoes kind of Gzer Shava. Rashi brings down the psukim. Rashi says the whole thing is an asmachta. Rashi seems to say that you can't say this is a real drasha. But it says here, it says the word Pesach Pesach Via. But in Mishkan it says Masach Pesach Shar Chatzer. So it says the word Pesach and Shar. So now you're entitled to say the word Pesach also refers to the word Shar. Another place it says Shar Misharecha. There's another place that you can learn out the word Shar from the word Sharecha that it says by avodah zarah. So too the Shar that you talk about by Yanam Rasa that it says over there that you kill her by the Shar Ha'ir is also going to be similar to Sharecha if it's a Jewish city, not if it's a Goyish city. And the Gemara continues to the next sugya. Tana Rabbanan. Now, really, this Gemara is very interesting that I could have brought introduction to the sixth sugya, which is going to be on the next page. And the Gemara later on is going to say that this is the introduction to this page. Just to jump ahead to the next page, we're going on to Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph. There's going to be a machlokes over there between Blessed ben Yaakov and the Rabbanan. It's highlighted over here in the yellow and the blue that the din of Moshe Shemra, who lokav v'nosin me'er sala bein bal bein lo bal. The husband. What's the case? What's the case again? That a man gets married. The case of a Shemra, he married a woman, and then he says that after they had relations the first time, he says that she's not a b'sula, and then he brings Eidim that they were that she was Mizana during an Arusa, and she's Chayiv Misa, and then it comes out that he was a liar. So the Tanna Kama says that the whole chiyuv is only if he had relations with her. I'm sorry. That's not Abelazar ben Yaakov. Tanna Kama says who lokav and osen meya sela bein bal bein lo bal. There's no difference if he actually had relations or not. This husband that he got married and then he comes and says she's not a basula, and brings Eidim. He didn't even have to have relations. I didn't have to have relations before I had a chance to have relations. I found out from Eidim, and really he's a shakran. He got the Eidim, but he says that Eidim came and told me that she was Mazana when she was in Arusa and she's Chayiv Misa. So the whole then I found out that he's a liar. So all the punishment we give to him is even if he was not bald, bein lo bald. No difference if he had relations or not. But Abelazar ben Yaakov says no, only if he was bald. That's the brisa later on. The Gemara is going to go on to it. We'll see it tonight, Be'ez Hashem, still the rest of that brisa. But this is the brisa that the Gemara is referring to when it starts our sugya now. So we're a page before Mem Hey and Beis, and we start here a brisa which is going to be a machlokes of Yudah and the Rabbanan, and the Gemara is going to talk about that they might be going in the issue. They're going in the issue of Blessed ben Yaakov and the Rabbanan if the issue of Motzi Shemra was not if he was bol or not. Tana Rabbanan, Motzi Shemra lokav v'nosen me'asela. That's an innocent statement. That's the pasuk. It doesn't say It doesn't say much. It says Motzi Shemra is Chayiv Malkus, then he has to pay 100 seller. That's the problem. Shafres Pasuk. V'Yisrael so, Ban also may a Kesef, Velosi Elisha. It says all that. So something's missing in the Brisa so far. But the Brisa says Tanakama that Motzi Shemra is Chayiv Malkus and has to pay 100 seller. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Lukos Lokum Mikol Mokum. But Meir Sela Baal no saying Lo Baal Lein and he says that Malkus is Chayiv regardless. No difference if he was Baal or not. But the punishment of 100 seller is only if he was Baal. Which now it rings a little bit to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. That's what Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov said on the next page. I got mixed up with the color scheme over here. Here I made blue yellow. There was yellow blue, but ignore the color. But there was a machlokes later on. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says Dafka if he was Boel. Did I get it right? Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the one who says so that Rabbi Yehuda talks that language over here. Here Rabbi Yehuda is saying that the payment of Meir Sel is only if he was Boel. No Boel ain't no thing. But Malkus, regardless. Malkus is regardless. Tanakama doesn't say anything. Tanakama doesn't talk yet. We're going to figure out there are going to be two Lashonas about the Tanakama holds. And the way we have it in the Brisa, Tanakama is very prior. He doesn't say anything. He does says Motzi Shemas Lokev and Osim Meir Sel. Yeah, we don't talk about yes Boel, no Boel, doesn't say anything. Rabbi Yehuda says that Malkus is regardless, but the Meir Sel is only if he was Boel.
So he's saying Motzi Shemra on her without being Boel?
Right. He says he got Adam came to him and told him that you should know that your wife, you think she's a virgin. She was Mazana when she was an Amorus. And really, the whole story is a fake. He made up a lie. He hired them and he sold it. So that's the case of Motzi Shemra, that low ball, he'd be chayiv, he's chayiv Malkus even low ball, but he's not chayiv Meir Sela only if he was ball. That's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Rabbi Yehuda is not going to change. Rabbi Yehuda says clearly what he means. He says, and he's going according to the sheet of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that says something dafka ball, which we'll see later on. But he says that even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is more that he's chayiv Malkus even low ball. But the question is going to be, what does Tanakama hold? They're arguing in the same. They're arguing. First, the Gemara says they're arguing in the same argument as Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Mamish, that each one takes a side. Tanakama, he didn't say so specifically, but he means to say even low ball. Hamosi Shema Loka V'Nosim Meir Sala Hidikma Hachikama. Hamosi Shema Loka V'Nosim Meir Sala Bain ball Bain Shalow ball Kirabanan. That's what they mean to say. That even if they were, regardless, they always have to pay both punishments, regardless if there was a bia or not. Mamash like the Rabbanan of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, that the pasuk doesn't have anything to do with ball. Even if this new husband he wasn't boiled, he has both punishments, Malkus and Meir Sela. Rabbi Yehuda holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, but he's coming to say that even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that said that it's only when it's boiled, that's only as far as the Meir Sela. But the Malkus, even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov agrees that Malkus, he gets Malkus regardless. Lilkos Lokum Mikol Mokum Meir Sela no ball no sin, no ball ain't no sin. What does he hold? Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. He meant to say that even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that says it's dafka ball, he means to say as far as the punishment of Meir Sela. But as far as the Malkus, even he agrees that there's Malkus regardless. Ikadami, another shot in the Rabbanan. Rabbi is not going to change. Rabbi the Sholi was like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, who says there's dafka ball, and he's saying dafka ball by the punishment of Meir. But the question was about the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan, as we said, is very powerful. The words are missing something. It says Motzi Shema Lokev V'Nosim Meir Sela. It doesn't say yes ball, no ball. So the first shot said that even low ball, and that goes like the Rabbanan. Ikadami Kulak Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, that both opinions. Tanakama also holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov dafka ball. He holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says that both punishments is only if he was bald. If he was not bald, not going to be any punishment, not Malkus either. And that Rabbi Yehuda argues, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Lukas Lokum Mikol Mokum, that even though Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says it has to be bald, it's only as far as paying the Meir Sela. But as far as Malkus, regardless. So that's two ways how to learn the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan hold like the Rabbanan that he's punishable everything, even with a low ball, or he holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov that nothing's punishable only with the ball. And Rabbi Yehuda is going according to Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov and saying that Malkus is regardless, but the Meir Sela is only if he was ball. The more is a contradiction in Rabbi Yehuda. For some Rabbi Yehuda, Lilkos Lokem, Mikol Mokum, there's a Rabbi Yehuda hold like that he's chayiv Malkus only if he was ball. But Tan Rabbi Yehuda Omer ball loka, low ball ain't loka. Feish Bryce says the opposite. Rabbi Yehuda says that if he was not ball, then the husband doesn't get Malkus. So contradiction in Rabbi Yehuda. He doesn't mean the Brisa before. The Brisa before where he said that Malkus is Loka Mikol Mokum. Where's the Brisa? That was Rabbi Yehuda said Lukas Loka Mikol Mokum. This was what we quoted the whole time. That the Rabbi Yehuda says is Malkus regardless. Here he says that there's no Malkus. So the Malkus that he said, he meant Malkus Marlis. Means that the Malkus means the Raisa Malkus. Like it says, Yisro so. That means Malkus, the Gemara is going to say. That they give him 39 lashes, like the Torah lashes. But there's another kind of a Malkus, it's called Malkus Mardis, which means the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan could say to hit somebody because he deserves to be hit, not because the Torah says so. So that's when it says in here, there's Chayiv Malkus, really is not Midaraisa, means Midrabanan. Rashi talks about that the issue of this being Chayiv Malkus Midaraisa, not Rashi says is totally if you hold that there's a malchus and lav shein bo ma'isa. Because what did the husband do? He just talked. And the question is, if talking is enough reason, is that enough to be chayiv malchus? Because it's called lav shein bo ma'isa.
I have a different problem. Couldn't he get her killed if they found him guilty under his false witnesship? Why is he not chayiv misa? He could be getting her killed.
The Edom Zolman are the ones who are going to be chayiv misa. You're right that the false witnesses, they're the ones who are going to get killed. But the husband who, yes, but that's the halacha. The Edom Zolman,
taking a chance to get her killed.
if somebody hires, what are they called? There's a word for these things nowadays. But if somebody
Hitman.
somebody hires a hitman, who's the one who's chayiv misa?
I think that's a good question. I think it's the person that killed.
One who killed. Even if somebody set it up, it's not chayiv
How
misa.
about by us? We Jews are a little bit
We're
different.
talking about the Jew in the Jewish law. In the Jewish law. So if somebody orchestrates it, of course, Bezin doesn't let this guy get around. Bezin has a back room. Bezin has a back room that takes care of things that not in the front room. But in the front room, he's not chayiv misa if he didn't kill. The ones who killed are chayiv misa. He can't kill because he sent me and he hired me. That's not an excuse. So they're going to be chayiv misa. But you're right. The husband here is very, very guilty. But he's not going to be chayiv misa. The question is, he's chayiv malchus and me'er sela. It says three things in the Torah: that he's chayiv malchus, and also he pays me'er kesef, and also that he never could divorce her. So he's in for the Gehenna with her. Like she's going to give him the Gehenna because he can't divorce. He can't divorce her. But here the contradiction was in Rabbi Yehuda. If he holds that there's malchus regardless, he was going to Eliezer ben Yaakov, and he says that there's only Baal, but he gets malchus regardless. So here this first shot says that no, only malchus malchus rabban. And Rashi says that the Gemara doesn't speak it out. Rashi says that the issue is going to be if someone could be chayiv malchus for talking. It's lav shein bo ma'isa. Rashi brings down a madam that says that there is malchus on lav shein bo ma'isa. So it could be chayiv malchus even if in the talking alone. So Rashi brings down this issue over here about
Most lav shein bo ma'isa. Refers to so surely it's.
But the question is, if it's Malchus the most shame if you say the pasuk is only talking about kishabal, means there's the issue about the Yisroel, so the pasuk says it's a chayiv malchus. That's right, it's a pasuk. Even though for talking alone, it's a pasuk. Rashi says it's a chiddush. If you hold that lav shein b'ma'aseh ein loken alav, so the fact that he's chayiv malchus for being mostly shem is a chiddush. But the pasuk says it's only kishabal, only if he did an act of being ball, and then he's mostly shem. But if he wasn't ball, so then it wouldn't be the pasuk of Yisroel also. So what's it going to be? That what would be the aveir over here? The Gemara is going to be talking about malchus of Loseilach Rochel, and that Rashi says is told if you hold lav shein bo ma'isa. But anyway, here the Gemara says that to answer the contradiction, Rabbi Yehuda really holds that it's not malchus midaraisa. According to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, there's no malchus, no v'yisro so if it was not ball, but malchus marad is still malchus marad is midarabana. And the next teretz on the top of the page, mem above this is top of the page. My ball loke diktani hasam mamon. Milkos, milka lucky, even by low ball, means that he has to pay the money. It means it again. How does it go now? My ball loka. Which brisa says ball loka? Ball loka and low ball ain't a loka. This brisa. The brisa that says that it's only ball loka means the money part. Means the word malchus always means malchus, means lashes. Here it's saying a bit chiddush. The word malchus here and that means that, but the money part means. The contradiction is not a contradiction because before he says that it's chayiv malchus and it will cost lokum, mikol mokum, yes, but the me'er sela is only ball, and this brisa means the same thing. This brisa at the bottom, which says ball loka, low ball, lane loka, which literally the words means that he's not chayiv malchus if he was not ball. It really means to say that he doesn't pay the money if he was not ball. Milkos, milka lucky, he's the chayiv malchus, and the brisa that says that low ball ain't a loka, it means low ball he doesn't pay, which is of course a big chiddush to say that the word malchus means paying money. And the Gemara is going to say you find sometimes that you use the word malchus, it means malchus really means to get hit. So he gets hit with money. It means his wallet gets hit. So it's not a push-up shot, but that's how he's going to answer the kasha that Rabbi Yehuda holds that really he's this chayiv malchus. And the brisa that says dafka bolus loka mamon, and the Gemara says v'karlei lamamon malchus, to pay money is called malchus. Sometimes you find like that. But tanan yes for tanan omer chatzi erki olai nosin chatzi erko. The Torah says in the parsha Verichin it says how much a person has to pay. If he says erech ploni olai, he says that this person want to pay his erech, and the word erech means value, but the Torah says erech according to the age and the gender. But here he says chatzi erki alai, that I'm donating half of my value to hektish. So the Vastalach knows in chatzi erko, so he has to pay half, whatever the pasuk would be. Erech says that erech sometimes 50, he pays 25. If it's 30, he pays he pays 15. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda Omer, Loke v'nosin erech shalem. So the words literally mean Loke, that you hit him, and then he has to pay the whole erechin. But what did he hit him for? What did he do? He said chetzi erki alai. It doesn't make sense to hit him. Loke amai. Can't mean that he hit him. Amar Papa Loke be'erech shalem. It just means that he's hit the fact that he has to pay more, not that we hit him, not with the lashes. We hit him, it means we hit his wallet, that he has to pay more than he donated. He only donated chetzi erki, and really has to pay the whole erech. And the Gemara says on that, why? My time, how come he has to pay more than he donated? There's a very slight, different, narrow line. If a person says that I'm donating half of my value, or the value of half of me, there's a very big difference. If a person says that he's giving the value of half of himself, the value of half of himself is a whole self, because if a person is missing half of himself, he can't live. That's called Eivish Hanashama Tlibo. And Rashi brings down, if he would have said, I'm giving the erech of my head, the erech of my heart, that's like he said the whole thing. If he says the erech of his hand, so you can imagine how much a person would be, the hand without the hand. But when a person says something which is a vital organ, so then that's the whole person. If he doesn't have his head, doesn't have his heart, he doesn't have anything. So if he says chetzi erki olai, he has to give the whole erech. Because of that, we say, if he says erech chetzi olai, the value of half of me, he has to give the whole value. Because of that, it made sense very similar. So we said also, if he says chetzi erki olai, also he has to give the whole erech. All the I wanted from this is to say that the word loka doesn't mean actual hitting. It means you hit his wallet. He loses his money. So here also, the Papa is willing to say that the word boal loka and lo boal ein loka means as far as the money, but as far as the malchus, not to make a contradiction in Rabbi Yehuda, he means that he's chayv malchus regardless, according to Elazar ben Yaakov, that even though he says that there is the din of the Meya Sela is only if he was boiled, but the din of malchus is regardless. New sugya. It says in the pasuk by Motzi Shema, Vanshu also. V'yisru also, v'anshu also mea kesef. So v'anshu also says zemaman, v'yisru zemalkis. When it says in the pasuk they should punish him, that's money, and the pasuk says openly that it means mea kesef, and v'yisru that means that they should afflict him. What does afflicting mean? So it means malkis. Tomorrow that's going to be the Gemara's chiddush that the yisru means malkis. The word just means they should afflict him. What kind of afflict him? V'shlam v'anshu zemaman d'chsev. V'anshu also mea kesef. That's a fresh pasuk. That onish, anshu also is it says perish, may kesef. He has to pay money. Elav yisru malchus manal. And how do you know that the affliction is malchus? Amrabavo the mother yisru mi ben vayim ben akosa Russia. Also a domino's kind of shava. You find here the word yisru. You find the word yisru by ben soar mora, and over there by ben soar mora it says the word ben, and it also says the pasuk by malchus vayim ben akosa Russia. Here's the word ben. So that's a drasha to say that when it says here yisru, it also means malchus, and that's the punishment of the husband that was Motzi Shemra, so he's Chayv Malchus. Malchus, 100 Selah, and also he stays married to her forever. Azar Motzi Shemra Minolan. How do we know? Where's the Zayin not to be Motzi Shemra? The pasuk only says that if he does, he's punishable. But we know every time it says a punishment, then that it says also a warning. It says do not. So where does it say do not? Where does it say do not be Motzi Shemra? Probably the Chafetz Chaim brings us down when he talks about the Motzi Shemra we talk about. Motzi Shemra, even though the pasuk talks about Motzi Shemra, that he talks about the wife, and he made. But any time a Motzi Shemra would mean that he says a lie about somebody. Chafetz Chaim says if it's true, then it's lashon hara. If it's a lie, then it's Motzi Shemra. So as well, the Motzi Shemra minolan. Where does it say don't do it? Where does it say don't be a Motzi Shemra? The same way lashon hara also lo say lechrochil. That's also going to be the drasha to say Motzi Shemra. That's where it says don't. But by regular lashon hara, it doesn't say a punishment. Here, if Motzi Shemra, there's a punishment also. Yisru and V'anshu also may kesef. Be careful, guard yourself from every bad thing. So I think the shot is because here it says davar ra, and here it's called the Motzi Shemra. So that's called don't be a Motzi Shemra. Guard yourself from being a davar ra. And Motzi Shemra is called ra. So that don't do that. Don't be a Motzi Shemra. So that's the two drushes, possible drushes we have to learn out. Everybody agrees that it's also the question is what's the source. And now the Gemara goes on like regular to say how come each one doesn't hold to the other drusha. Rabbi Elazar, my time, my high. How come Rabbi Elazar doesn't hold to the drusha of Nishmatim Mikol Davar Ra? So this is a famous drasha. Hahu miboyle le Pinchas ben Yor v'Nishmatim Mikol Davar Ra. Mikan Namra Pinchas ben Yor al Har Adam Yom Yavoli Deitumu B'Layla. That's the drasha. We learn how a person should not have sexual fantasies in the daytime. That's going to cause him to have a seminal emanation at night. So that's to learn out. Be careful from every bad thing. Means be careful in the daytime that it shouldn't come to a Davar Ra at night in his sleep. So that's used to something else. They don't have a source to learn out about Motzi Shemra. Rav Nosson, my time, how come Rav Nosson doesn't learn the other drasha of Lo Selech Rachil? That's not something else. So he doesn't learn means about lashon hara, that he shouldn't be how does rachel means like a peddler that he takes from one to the next. He says different shot that rachel means. Rashi says in the word rachel over here, rachel lashon rachli tihiyeh, that when Bezdin has judging a case, they can't be soft to one and tough to the other one. The two people, the two what do they call it? Litigants. So Bezdin can't show favoritism to one and speak softly and nicely to one. The other one they talk tough because you intimidate him. So that's the like say Rachel, don't be rachli, don't be soft to one of them. So it's not going to tell you lashon hara. So that wouldn't be a source. So each one has a different source, but everyone has a source. So you're not allowed to be motzi shemra. Next halacha, do Gemara. Now the case was that they're Edom. The only case where there's something about killing the girl is only when they were Edom. Just because he said she's not a basul is not a reason why she should hide misa. She might have been, even if she was Mizana, she might have been Mizana before there was an Erison even. So of course the whole case, even though the pasuk doesn't say, it must be that they're Edom over there. And what's the husband's guilt? That if he just says Lamasasi B'tcha Psulim, that doesn't mean anything because it could be that she was not a basula but when she was a Pnuya, he's coming to say that she's Chayiv Misa. So here it says they are Edom, but the issue is if the husband also was in honor, then he's the one who is bringing the Edom. How about Lo Amala Edom Bo Veiduni Vehemidim also May Alehem? That he didn't come to the Edom, he didn't call the Edom, they came on their own. The whole thing is false, but he didn't call them, they came on their own. Who ain't a loka? Venelosin May Islam. He's not chayiv. His chayiv is only because he called them. They're false Edom, but he's the one who hired them. Oh, I said hired. He's the one who called them. He's the one who enlisted them. So if he didn't enlist them, so then he's not chayiv. But they are going to be chayiv. They're the Edom's omen. They're the ones who are false Edom, and it comes out at the end that we prove that they're false because they weren't even there at the scene of what they said that they saw. And he was omen makdim lebeis haskila. So that we had already buzzed before that expression doesn't make sense literally. You can't say that she and the zomerman are chayiv because if there's zomerman, she's not chayiv. If she's chayiv, then they're not zomerman. So he was zomerman. It's like the daitach. It can't be that she and the zomerman. Ella he zomerman makdim lebeis haskila. Either she means if they're true Edom, they're not zomerman. They're kosher Edom. Then she's chayiv skila. If they're found to be zomerman, then they're chayiv skila. But he is not going to be chayiv since he didn't enlist them. If he didn't enlist them, so then he's going to be chayiv. Yisro also may kesef. Okay. He enlisted. He called them. So if that's the Moshe Shemer that he got the Edom to say false testimony. They're chayiv like regular Edom. They have no excuse. They're Edom's omen. They're going to be chayiv misa. But if he's the one who called them, then he's going to be chayiv the punishment of Malchus and Meir Kesef and Lo Tialisha. Time of the law. That's the end of the brisa. Time of the law amalahu. Amalahu. I forgot the law agreement that it says if he's the one who called them. Lo amalaydim. But when is he called Moshe Shemer? If he did call them, but it doesn't say he has to hire them. Before I messed up my words, I said he hired them. It doesn't say he hired. It says that he called them, and that thing was medayik. This time it holds that even if he didn't hire them, he's going to keep me and Moshe Shemer because he called them. Amar. I forgot the law agreement. But there is a sheet that argues lafuke midirabi Yehuda. First white line. The Tanya Yehuda Omer. That Rebbe argues. He holds that it's only chayiv for Moshe Shemer if he hires them. If he just calls them and they listen to him, he's not chayiv for Moshe Shemer only if he hired them. My time of Rebbe, where does he get it from? That's the husband that he made for her a libel that she was mazana. Over there it's talking about the din of ribis. You're not allowed to take ribis. And over there it also says the word sasimun, to place. Here it says some, and there it says sasimun. Both of them lashon the placing. Ma'alal and moment, afkan moment. Just like over there, that the way to place the ribis means that he makes a chiyuv moment. So too, the some law means through money is the way that he made the libel. He hired the edim. That's a Yudas drasha. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak v'chein Tani Rav Yosef Tzidoni be'Rav Shimon Yochai Asya Sima Sima. Same drasha. Somebody else also says the same drasha. Before Rav O said it, here it says in the name of Rav Shimon Yochai the same drasha. Lo Simon Agzer Shava Sima Sima. A lot of questions he had. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 questions. Not kashas, she'elot. What's going to be the halacha in this following case? 3 questions of Yirmiyah has. What if he hired them with money, with karka, not with money? Over there it talks about money. Neshach over there is talking about money. Here it doesn't have money. He gave them a piece of land in order to say false testimonies. It's also included in Sima. Or maybe you have to have dafka money. What if he gave them less than a shavapruta in order to say that false testimony? Is that enough to be considered hiring, even though it wasn't money? The
question is like, do we learn Xer Shava because it's not exact?
Okay, all the way till the end. They say that it has to be like ribis, only a shavapruta. And Shneim b'pruta mahu. How about if both of them for a pruta means that each one has a half a pruta, means even if you say that you need a pruta, maybe one pruta for two, or it has to be a pruta for each one. So we don't know the answer to those questions. More questions. That he married her twice. What would be the case? He married her, didn't say anything. He married her, divorced her, married her a second time. And then he says that she was not a basula. She comes out there before the first marriage that she was mazana when she was an arusa. And he brings Adim. So it isn't the first marriage. And on the suya achimah, what if the brother, somebody married her and right away died, and then the yavam, or maybe it means he did eris. The first brother did erisin, and he died before he did the suin, and then she falls to the yavam, and the yavam now has relations, and he says lam matzasi basulim, and he wants to make that it should be, and he comes out that it's false. All these halachas about Moshe Shem, does it apply also to the this man means the one that he gave him, the one that I gave him to. It means the husband, the original husband. If he died and now the yavam is there, then there's no din about the Moshe Shem laws. No, now the Gemara goes back. Yeah, but it's I mean, first of all, him. First talk about him. She's going to be chai because now Marasa, but there won't be a big difference because she's chai skill anyway. If two Adam come and say she was Mazana when she was now Marasa, she's chai skila. The question might be Pesach Pesavir or not. That's the only difference. But the question is when it's found to be a lie. And Meir Kesef and Yisro, so all these things that apply also to the Yavam. That says doesn't apply to the Yavam. Now, the Gemara, for some reason, the Gemara didn't tell us this whole information about Rabbi Elazar and Yaakov and the Rabbanan. We saw the Gemara at the end of Amud Beis, and it was referring to this. It brought down Abuda and Tanakama, and we said as they were arguing the Machlokas of Rabbi Elazar and Yaakov and the Rabbanan. So we jumped ahead before to see what they're talking about, and here's where the Gemara brings it. I'm not sure why the Gemara is organized like this. But here goes the Gemara. My Rabbanan, my Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. What did we mean a page ago that we said Machlokas of Elazar ben Yaakov and the Rabbanan? If you holds like Elazar ben Yaakov, the Rabbanan were not sure. What is that?
They would come to share. No.
The Tanya. The beginning of the brisa is not our subject. We're going to get to the end of the brisa, but it has more information in the beginning. What's the case of a shema? What's the shema? He comes to Bezin, the husband, the chassan, the new chassan. Last night was the chassan. He comes to Bezin the next day and he says, Ploni, Rabbi Shver, that your daughter's not a basula. So first the words don't make sense. The words say if the item that she was mazana while she was in arusa, she gets a ksuba mana. She gets 100 ksuba. The one jumps up. She's chayiv skila, not that no ksuba, no nothing. She goes out to get killed. Yeah, you're right. Of course, that's what it means. If the item that she was mazana, so then she's chayiv skila. But zinsa mei koro yesh ksuba mana. If it comes out that she was mazana before the erisin, she was a pnuya, so she's not chayiv skila. She wasn't a married woman. But how much ksuba does she get? Yesh ksuba mana. She gets a ksuba mana, even though he thought that she was a basula. Now it comes out that she's a bula. So the ksuba is going to be a mana. She doesn't lose the whole ksuba. She loses the psula ksuba, and she gets the ksuba mana. Now it goes into what we want. Nimsa shemra, eino shemra. It comes out that it wasn't really true, that he was a liar. The husband was a liar. That's the lacha that the Torah says. Also, one should also make a kesef. But here the Tanakama says, bein bald, bein no bald. That's what we quoted before. Tanakama says that this whole halacha, no difference if he was bald. Even if he wasn't bald, he didn't have relations with the new wife. And he says Adam came and said that she was Muzana when she was in Arusa. All the halachas apply even if he was not bald. Only kishabal before. Rabbi Yehuda said that even Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is only as far as the money, but as far as the malchus, he also agrees. And there was a question about that, if anybody argues on Rabbi Yehuda. But now opening up the subject, where does this come from? Where do you say anything about ball?
Yeah, I was going to ask,
why should it be? Not as far. Why? As far I don't know. But the Gemara is going to bring the psukim. How does the pasuk read? Now the pasuk says, let's see the pasuk a second. By Moshe Shemra, it says, in the story, in the narration of the pasuk, it says that a man takes a wife, he had relations, and he hates her. And then he loves the Barim, and he comes to Shemran, he says, so both in the narration and also in the quotation of what he says, it says that they had relations. So I don't know as far, maybe if anybody has an idea of why it should be a difference, I don't know. But as far as the pasuk, it sounds like that after the case was that he had relations. That's what the Gemara says. Also says that's talking about they had relations. How is they going to learn the pasuk? The answer is balilos. He came with her onto her with a libel. It means that the pasuk, don't take the pasuk literally that he came upon her literally in physical relations, but he came upon her with a libel, with a story to frame her. But also that I came. It's not a pasuk shah, it's a drash, it seems. But with words, it means that he is not saying that he's lying yet. He's not saying that he's lying. He's saying I investigated. To the Rebbe Lezer that he had relations, it means he had relations, and he finds she's not a basula. Makes sense. He says, I had relations and she wasn't a virgin. According to Rabbanan, that he didn't have relations, what is he saying? How do you know she's not a basula? So Rashi says the word kshere over here means that he's going to be some kind of a proof. So you have to put in a lot into the story. That there are Edom that say that she was Muzana when she was in Arusa, and I didn't find anybody that contradicts them. The husband says there are Edom that are saying that she's Muzana when she's in Arusa, and I didn't find anybody that's contradicting them to say that they were not. That's pretty dochik in the pasuk, but that's the drash the Gemara is saying. And the whole discussion over there that the father says she has basulim, that the husband tying it that she doesn't have basulim, and the father comes and says she does have basulim. So according to Rabbi Yaakov, everything is very simple. That was there blood, was there no blood, and then the father brings the cloth that there is blood. So that the father has proof that she was a virgin and she has the virgin blood. What does the father come and prove it? The answer is this is the proof. He brings the Eidim that I'm Mazimin, that the husband brought Eidim that said that she was Mazana, and the father brings Eidim that say that they were Zomamin because they weren't even there at the time. That they spread out the cloth, that means that the cloth that has the blood. My first was similar. There is no cloth. Rabbi Abo Porsu ma she samla. The word simla is darshan like samla. That they're the one they are going to spread out. They're going to explain whatever the libel was that he did. He made a libel. That's called samla. He lost the volume, and they are going to spread out. They're going to show the truth about this whole alila. So the Rabbanan are more Jewish, and the whole pasuk, the whole shakla the whole masamatan of the husband and the father is more Jewishy according to the Rabbanan. And according to Blazer ben Yaakov, it's all simple pshat. Kidatanya. First of all, similar malama shabon edim sheidav shel zev edim shel zev v'vorin es hadavar kesimla chadasha. That the edim come, and that's how they clarify. Like similar, that's a mashal for something which is clear. A similar chadasha is something which is clear, and the edim come and they argue it out. It means we investigate the edim to see if the edim are true or the edim are zomim. But Blazer ben Yaakov Omer dvam kiksav, and everything is literal, similar mamish. Actual cloth to see if there's blood or not. End of that sugya, and now one more sugya for the night. Shalach Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yaakov bar Gyuri Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan. Afagav Shalom Matzina B'Chol Torah Kula Shechila Kakaso Ben B'Yeh Kedaka L'Viyeh Shelo Kedaka L'Makas L'Onshin. But the Moshe Chamber has a difference. As far as any time that the Torah talks about relations, whatever it is, like it says Makas L'Onshin, any kind of avera, so there's no difference if the bia was a regular bia, vaginal, or it will be a shlokadarka, anal relation. That also would be considered a bia as far as all halachas go. But Moshe Shemra is a difference. Moshe Shemra is different if it's kadarka or not. So first, the Gemara has first. This is the first initial version. The Gemara is going to change it soon. First, it says that he's only chayiv if he, the husband, was boil. This that needs to be going according to Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. According to Rabbanan, even if he wasn't boil. But in Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, I guess, it says that if he was boil, Klomer kishabal nemrod dvar will be losa people who shalo kedarka kiyechi delo chilek b'shar onjin aval bia shel znus. So the case about Yotzi in the Chavat Shiva shalo kedarka, even shalo kedarka, but the Yotzi shemra kedarka. The main point the Gemara is saying now is that when she was mazana, he said the Edom come and said that she was mazana, dafka kedarka. There's znus of the Nama Rosa that makes her Chayiv Misa, and the way that he's considered a Shemra is only if the Znus that the suspected, what is it called? Not the suspected, the Eidim that come, what do you say? The Eidim are coming, the accusation of the Znus was that it was Kedarka. But if it would have been that she was accused of being Mazana Shelo Kedarka, then the Parsha of Eidim of Ma'aseh Shem wouldn't apply. But and the Gemara is going to say. So the Gemara said, but here the Yibol Shlo Kedaka means it's going according to Elazar ben Yaakov. That says it has to be Dafka ball. That ball could even have been Shlo Kedaka, like any other time we say that a Bia Shlo Kedaka also has a din of Kedaka, no difference. But this is the Chiddush over here, that the din that is considered a Motzi Shemra is only if he was Motzi Las, that she was Nibal as Namirasa Kedaka. The Gemara says, come on, Ikra Rabbanan, Afagav the low ball. You can't be going according to the Rabbanan, because according to Rabbanan, you don't have ball. This whole thing in the Chayivat Shivol Shlo Kedaka doesn't make sense according to Rabbanan. And Ikra Elazar ben Yaakov, Idi ve'idi Kedaka be'inan. That the din that he's saying that he has to have ball, so the Gemara is saying that according to Elazar ben Yaakov, not only the beer that she's accused of, but also the beer that he had with her also has to be Kedaka. Ela Shalach Hav Kana Mishmei the Rabbi Yochanan, the Gemara changes it. And the Chayiv Shivol Kedaka, Motzi Shemra Kedaka. Here, Motzi Shemra, both things have to be Kedaka according to Elazar ben Yaakov. It seems he passed like Elazar ben Yaakov, and both of them have to be Kedaka. Though both the accusation of the beer that the accused beer has to be Dafka, that she was accused of being both Kedaka, and also his beer, in order to make him Motzi Shemra, is only if it was Kedaka also. Ad Khan. Okay, we had a lot of suggestions tonight. Everybody.
Tomorrow is regular, 11 to 1.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Bez Hashem, we should start regular. The first year will be 11.